Hey guys, let's draw a realistic apple in Procreate.
I'm using the iPad Pro with the Procreate app. If you're new to Procreate, I also have a video called 25 Procreate Tips and Tricks, which is good to watch first because as I draw, I'll be using these actions. I will link that video below.
All right, I'm gonna grab a black and a sketch brush, which is just a 6B pencil, and we're just gonna sketch out the apple. All right, so this is the basic shape, and we're gonna do the core. So it's kind of like this, and a leaf. Next, we're gonna create a new layer, and we're gonna put it underneath layer 1, and then we're gonna grab a red. And this time I'm gonna change my brush just to a regular round brush. And then I'm just gonna trace over this. Just make sure that's actually closed up there so we can color drop. Then I'm gonna clean up the edges a little bit. And then now comes the fun part, which is the shadows and the highlights. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna enable alpha lock. So click on the layer of the red apple and hit alpha lock. And what that does is it enables you to color within the red and not outside of the red. So now we're gonna select a darker shade of the red, and we're gonna change our brush to an airbrush, a soft brush, and then we're just gonna apply some shadow. So as you can see with the alpha lock, I can't color anywhere outside of that. It's gonna stay within the red. And then we're gonna apply some shadow over here. And then some over here. And then of course in the core. Now if it helps you, you can disable the sketch layer so you can see what you're doing. And in the core, it could actually be a bit darker. And then next, we're gonna select a lighter shade of the red. But I just want to grab this initial red, so just hold down with your finger on this red and it's going to pop up in the color palette. And from here, I just want to select a lighter shade. And again, we're still on the airbrush, and let's just increase our brush size. We put some highlights. And our light source is going to be up around here. And it's okay if it looks a bit funny. We're going to be blending it very soon. So now we're going to grab our blending brush, which is right there. We want to make sure that the brush we have is also a soft brush, and we're going to lightly blend all these colors together. And from here on, it's just going to be a balancing act of shadows and highlights. So I'm just going to go back and forth on dark reds and light reds. We want to get that sweet spot where it looks realistic. And now with the core, we're going to be blending with strokes going up like this. So we're going to also be alternating with the lighter color just by doing that same stroke. And with the blending brush, we're going to do the same stroke again. We want to make it look like there's a hole. All right, so let's create a new layer for the stem. I'm just going to use that as a guide. And then we're going to select a brown. Then I'm just going to select a lighter color of that brown. And then enable alpha lock on that layer. Grab my airbrush, and then we're just gonna do some highlights. And then from here, we can also try to find some texture. So if you go into your brush library, Procreate comes with a ton of different textures. I'm just gonna find something that resembles a tree bark. So maybe this one right here. Let's see how that looks. So I'm just going to go back into my apple layer and fix all of this up. So for the leaf, I'm going to create a new layer again. I'm going to grab my round brush, got a green. And then I'm going to enable alpha lock on this as well. And then we could start doing some shading. And then some highlights. Maybe it's got a little bit of yellow in there. And then we're going to blend that. And then let's go back to the apple layer. We just want to put a little bit of a darker shade for the shadow underneath the leaf. And I'm also going to clean up the edge of the apple again. I wasn't loving the shape of that original apple. All right, so let's go back to the apple layer and let's try to find a texture. Let's try stubble. I don't know if you can see that if I zoom in. I guess the effect is to have like a beard or something if you're doing skin, but it works well on the apple as well. All right, next let's do some water drops. So what we're gonna do is create a new layer, and then we're gonna select a darker shade of that red, and we're gonna do a half circle like this. And then next we're gonna grab a white, and this time we want the opacity maybe to about, I don't know, 55%. I'm just going to lightly draw here. And then again, a little white at the top. And then we're going to blend that all together. So let's grab our blending brush. And from here, you can keep adding highlights and shadows. If you want to make it more realistic, I'm just going to add a little bit more white and then blend that again. I'm just going to grab my eraser tool and I'm just going to take out some of this blur. It's just a bit too strong. And then what we could probably do to make this go faster is just duplicate that water drop layer and just move it around. And from here, you could stretch it. You can make it smaller. So next I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to put it underneath the apple. And this time we're going to select a background color. I'm just going to do like a dark gray navy, maybe like that, possibly even darker. And then I'm going to select a lighter shade with my airbrush. And let's just blend that. And then for a shadow, I'm going to grab a black. I'm just going to work on the apple a little bit more and then we'll be done. And adding a little bit of more contrast will make it really pop. The apple is looking really dull to me, so I'm going to go into the adjustments tool. I'm going to go to color balance. I'm just going to add a little bit more red. And let's go into hue saturation. That looks a little bit better. And just keep in mind that it looks a little bit different when I'm filming versus what I'm actually seeing. All right guys, here is your apple in Procreate. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.
To get notified of more new videos where I teach you to draw, be sure to subscribe to Draw with Marina.